Hello students, good morning everyone. So let's start our today's class with a new topic. So yes, there is a small activity. Actually this activity I wanted to show you with a plant, but now for time being let's just read what it is written in the slide. So it is written here that all living beings need water to live, which is very true. Water is important for proper growth and development of flowers, fruits, and seeds of plants. Water is absorbed by the plant roots. Nutrients dissolved in water get transported to each part of the plant. To maintain the moisture of the soil for healthy crop growth, fields have to be watered regularly. So in this image, we can see that someone is watering the plants, as water is very essential for all the living beings as well as plants. That is why the plants need or plants require water every day. Okay, now let's move. So yes, what are these pictures depicting? Any idea? Okay, so now everybody, I want you to write down your answer in the chat box. The picture 1, 2, 3 and 4. Their names. Okay, and obviously these pictures are depicting the irrigation source, like source of irrigation. From where do we get water? From where does plants get water? Okay, yes. So what is irrigation? So let's see what is written here. The supply of water to crops at different intervals is called irrigation. The time and frequency of irrigation varies from crop to crop, soil to soil, and season to season. Now we know that plants require water, all living beings require water. So here, what is the importance? Why irrigation is important for plant? Now let's see. Water is vital for the growth of plants, and there can be no plants or crops if they do not have access to water in some form. It is thus crucial to supply water to crops and plants in time as per their need. Okay. Okay, so here is a question for you guys. The question is, the source of irrigation are, there are some options. Option A, well, B, dam, C, river, D, all of these. So I want you to write down your answer in the chat box. Yes, so the right answer is D, all of these. Very good. Okay, now identify these images. Try to recall the name. Try to recall where have you seen these images in your villages or somewhere else while traveling. You may have seen these pictures. Okay, now write down your answer in the chat box and then we will have discussion. Okay. Okay, so yes, in the previous slide I have shown you two images and that were these two images. Okay, so yes, this one is, first one is Rahat and second one is Moat. Rahat and Moat are traditional methods of irrigation. So now let's look here, what are traditional methods of irrigation. So basically these irrigation systems were used in earlier years. Okay, however even today some small farms in rural areas adopt these methods. Okay, although they are cheaper and modern methods, they are not as efficient because they need human or animal labor to function. As you can see here in the Rahat, animal labor is required, whereas in Moat, human labor is required, isn't it? So now let's read about Rahat. Rahat uses animal labor. Okay, we can see here in this picture also. Above the well, we tie a large wheel. Okay, this is the well and we have tied a large wheel. Okay, An ox or cow would turn the wheel to draw the water from the well. So yes, the animal is being used. And the next one is mode, also called the pulley system. So mode is also called the pulley system. It involves pulling up of water from well or other such sources to irrigate the land. This is a time consuming and labor intensive process, but it is very cost efficient. Okay, and also it reduces the wastage of water. Okay, now here comes the differences between rahat and mood. So let's read one by one. So first rahat. The first point is rahat uses animal labor. Liver system is a traditional method of irrigation in which animals like ox or cow are used to pull out the water from the well. Okay. Whereas in moat, a moat or pulley system of irrigation is one that involves pulling up of water from well or other water sources in order to water the plants and other crops. Okay. Now the next point is this water is then evenly spread out over the fields. Okay. And also it is cheaper but not very efficient method of irrigation. Okay. Whereas in mode it is not often in use as it can be time consuming, yes of course, and it is not very efficient. Okay. Okay, here comes the another question for you, and the question is traditional method of irrigation which works with pulley system is, what is it called? Fill in the blanks and you need to write the answer. So the answer is, it is called mode. M O A T. Okay, yes, so all of you are right. So now let's move further. Now we have another images. There are another two images and I want you to write the answer in the chat box and it should be correct. Okay. Yes. So another traditional methods of irrigations are dhekli and chain pump. Okay, so now let's see what is dhekli and how it works. So dhekli, it is a process of drawing water from well or such similar source. Okay, here we tie a rope and a bucket to a pole. At the other end, we tie a heavy stick or any other object as a counterbalance, and we use this pole to draw up water. Okay, so this is basically the method. Now next is the chain pump. Chain pump consists of two large wheels connected by a chain. Okay, there are buckets attached to chain. Further, one part of chain dips into the water source. As the wheel turns, the bucket picks up water. The bucket picks up water. The chain later lifts them to the upper wheel where the water gets deposited into a source. The empty bucket gets carried back down. Okay, so this is the method of chain pump. Okay, so now comes the differences between thekli and chain pump. Okay, so now we are gonna learn the differences. So first one is thekli. Thekli is a traditional system of irrigation. Yes, very true. Now the chain pump. These use round discs attached to a long loop of metal chain. Okay. Now second point of thekli, it is done manually. Of course, a person has to take out water through a bucket and pour it into the field. Okay. And chain pump, each metal disc runs through a pool of liquid and some water is collected in it. Okay, this causes a lot of water wastage, and now for water scarcity, people don't use this method of irrigation. Okay, in chain pump, when chain is pulled, the metal disc rises up to the top. and the water held inside pours out, hydrating the earth and flora. So these are the differences between Dhekli and the chain pump. I hope it is clear to you. Okay. So now let's move further and see. Yes, there is another question, and that is true false type question. So question is, Dhekli is a traditional method of irrigation. Is it true or false? Yes, quickly write down your answer in the chat box. Yes, you are right. It's true. Very good. Let's move now. Okay, so yes, students, now it's time to recapitulate whatever we have studied now. Okay, so students, today we have learned about irrigation. Yes, today we have learned about irrigation. What is irrigation? Its definition, right? And sources of irrigation, and what are the sources, which different types of sources are there for irrigation. Okay, and traditional methods of irrigation. So yes, we have studied the four traditional methods of irrigation, and that methods are, the first one was rahar, then moat, dhekli, and chain pump. So we have studied these four types of traditional methods of irrigation. Now let's move further. Okay, so we are having some questions for you. First question is, supply of water to crop at appropriate interval is called. There are four options. Option 1, cultivation. Option B, irrigation. C, harvesting. D, sowing. So what is the answer? Yes, it is answer B, irrigation. Now, the next question is, name few traditional methods of irrigation. So yes, students, I want you all to write down some traditional methods of irrigation in the chat box. So write down your answers. Okay. Okay, so now it's homework time, and I am having some homework questions for you which you need to do it. Okay, so question 1 is, describe two methods of irrigation which conserve water. Okay, you need to describe two methods. Okay, two methods of irrigation which conserve water, which do not allow the water wastage. Okay, in which you can conserve more and more water. No water wastage should be there in that two methods. Okay. Okay, so now let's come to the question second. Your second homework is, enlist different sources of irrigation and paste their pictures in your notebook. So what you need to do in this question is, you need to paste the pictures of different source of irrigation. Okay, so paste its picture and write its name. So that's all for today. Thank you.